Dealing with regret is not fun. Being in a place of guilt and shame is not fun, bro. Let me tell you a story, man. I had very close friends that trusted me. I trusted them, and I got this opportunity in life where if I was successful, I could be the best friend that they could ever have, friend who's there for my friends. And turns out that the only way for me to get that was to betray my friends. And to some degree, I was filled with just a little bit of selfishness because the betrayal that I did wasn't necessarily from selflessness. It was more like, okay, what can I stand to lose versus what could I gain, right? And I thought, man, I could gain not only being a better friend, but also just living a better life. And so, man, betrayed them. I stabbed them in the back, and guess what? I didn't even get what I thought I would get, right? Was I tricked myself into believing that this was worthwhile when it actually wasn't. Fast forward, man, my friends stopped trusting me. My friends lost all their faith in me, man. And let me tell you, that wasn't even the worst feeling. The worst feeling was that feeling of guilt that you know you wronged that person. I knew that I had wronged them and I couldn't make amends. I couldn't make things right because what's done was done. And that was the worst feeling. The worst feeling was that knowing I'm a disappointment, knowing that my reputation as their friend has been completely tarnished. You know, it's so difficult to build trust, but it's so hard, it's so easy for it to just completely crumble down and it's destroyed. So me personally, I had to deal with this feeling and I couldn't deal with it for months, probably about 6, 7 months. I was stuck with this naughty feeling in my chest every time I thought about how I did my friends dirty. And it led me down a very dark hole. And if I didn't learn how to deal with regret at the time, I probably wouldn't even be standing here talking to you guys right now, trying to help you guys deal with whatever you're facing, the demons that you guys got in your closet. So, how to deal with regret? Just know I dealt with mine. And so I'm gonna give you a few tips. Apply these tips and you'll be well on your way to living a more healthy, fulfilling, joyful life for your sake and for the sake of the people around you. Tip number one when it comes to dealing with regret is to understand nothing can change what you did. What's done is done. So, tip number one would just be complete and utter honesty. Be honest with yourself, where you're at right now in your life, how you're feeling about what happened, how you feel you made the other people feel. What do you think of yourself right now that this has happened? Maybe you and your girl broke up, you and your boyfriend broke up, maybe you also, you wronged somebody and now you feel guilty. Most of the people watching this will just be people with like me who had an overwhelming feeling of guilt and you don't know how to cope with it. And I'm going to tell you, killing yourself is the last thing that you should do. Be honest with yourself. Be real. It happened, right? To what degree did it happen? To what how much effect did it have? Who's disappointed? Who's angered? Who's been offended? Who did you wrong? Be real. How do you feel? Because the worst thing that you could do is try to heal wounds through dishonesty. Imagine you have a scar on your forearm and you put bandages on your bicep. That doesn't heal the wound. That doesn't cause the wound to be healed. Just because you put a bandage on your body doesn't mean that the side that's actually infected, that's actually hurt, will heal. So honesty is to then stop ignoring the actual scar and facing it. When you face it and you become aware of it, then you can start to deal with it. And that leads me to tip number two. Tip number two is listen, you're going to have to learn to forgive yourself. And I know it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard. You need to get on this journey. It's not easy. It's so easy to forgive other people. A lot of us watching this, it's so easy for us to forgive other people. But when we've wronged somebody else and when we know we could have done better, it's even harder to forgive ourselves. And I know that from experience. Maybe you, somebody like me watching this video, you're extremely hard on yourself. So how the hell do you come to a place where you forgive yourself? Listen, step one is to literally, when it comes to forgiving yourself, it goes back to the honesty thing. You can never forgive yourself if you're not honest with yourself, right? So that's why step one links to step two. So forgiving yourself literally means looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I forgive myself. It takes opening your journal, writing down the honest facts about the situation from step one, and then saying, you know what, I can forgive myself. What's to forgive, right? To forgive is to still accept yourself, to still see that that there's still potential for good within you. You're not a bad person. You just did some pretty bad things. So you need to come to a place where, listen, I was stupid. I was foolish, and maybe you were angry. I was emotional, and I could have done better and I didn't, and I wish I did, but I forgive myself that I didn't. Because you might find the person that you wronged forgives you, but the fact that you can't even forgive yourself will stop you from moving past that. The person might even completely forgotten what you did, but the fact that you can't forgive yourself will cause you to stay in the same place. You don't want to stay in the same place for the next year, for the next 2 years, 3 years. I stayed in the same place for the last 7, 8 months, 10 months. Freak. I stayed in the same place for about a year and a half when I stopped smoking weed, basically. Because when I stopped smoking weed was when I actually finally began to forgive myself and start that in a healing journey. But to then have that intention to say, I'm gonna forgive myself, that's the next big step, because it's not gonna take a day, especially to what degree you did what you did or how much impact it had. You're not gonna forgive yourself in a day. I'm sorry, it's not just gonna happen. It's gonna take a gradual process. It's gonna take a, you know what? Start to see the potential in yourself again. And this goes back to something we call self-esteem. Start to build and nurture your self-esteem again. And it starts with forgiving yourself. So once you've forgiven yourself, step two. Step three is to now start to begin to then build your self-esteem again. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is basically the lens in which you see how good of a person you are. Bad self-esteem or a low self-esteem does not necessarily mean you see yourself as a bad person, but it just merely means that you see yourself lacking good qualities. So let's start to then analyze ourselves. Let's start to then look at ourselves and think, what are the good qualities that I may have as a person? Now, 9 times out of 10, you will be able to find good qualities. And when you do find those good qualities, begin to then experience gratitude. Say to yourself, I'm grateful for these qualities of mine. And why? Right? Now, if you're like me and you're there's that one person where there is just, because of what you did, you see zero good qualities. You have absolutely zero good qualities, man. You think about yourself and you think, man, I'm as good as like the worst person in the world. I deserve death, damn near. And I'm gonna urge you, if you're somebody like that, I'm gonna urge you to then invest into your own spirituality. Follow God, right? Try to learn forgiveness from God Himself, from biblical principles that teach forgiveness, that teach the newness of life. Because if you're the one like me, there is no way your good qualities will outweigh the bad that you've done in your own mind, because you're so good at beating yourself up. So look to then God. Look to God. Think to yourself, if I stood in front of the creator of the universe and he saw all of these things that I've done, the bad that I've done, the good that I've done, and he sees the good and he sees the bad and he sees that my bad actually outweighs my good, what then? And that's why I really urge you, if you're like me, you're that one, look to see why God would even forgive you. Look to Jesus Christ and see why the heck God would forgive you by sending his perfect son to die for you so that you can be forgiven of all your sin. Learn the concept of forgiveness from the one who's forgiven the entire world for cursing him, for leaving him, rejecting him. Learn forgiveness from him. I'm not going to teach you. This video here isn't necessarily for me to teach you how he forgives and all of that, but I want you to then go into that direction, embark on that journey of trying to discover, how can a God forgive an entire planet of people, filled with people? right? And if he could do that, then most probably you could forgive yourself, right? So see yourself how God sees you, right? Now, either or, if you're the 9 and you see good qualities in yourself, begin to be grateful for those. But if you're like me and you're that 1, begin to then be grateful for the qualities that God sees within you. And how does that affect you as a person, right? The moment you can deal with regret, the moment you can get through regret, you will have hope. Now, good hope, real hope, doesn't disappoint. And so, as a person watching this video, going through what you're going through, listen, I understand. I've been through it, and it still sometimes haunts me to this day, but it's not as bad because now I've forgiven myself and I've been honest with myself. And so the process has been going. It's been months since I've embarked on this journey, and I can tell you that time really does have an effect. Time doesn't heal. It's how you use your time that heals. I spent 7, 8, 9 months time passing, and yet I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't doing the techniques that I'm teaching you right now. So even though time passed, it was very unproductive. It was very useless. I was smoking weed. I was drinking alcohol. I was, sleeping around and stuff because I wanted to then fill the hole, fill the gap, and time exposes that there's that gap. But you can also use time to heal. Time doesn't heal. No, no, no. The use of time in the right way will bring healing. And so that's the way you can deal with regret, man. I hope that helps you.